Hello, Mr. Williams here. Today we're going to work another multi-step problem, very much like you'll see on your unit test. The fourth grade classes at Lakeview Elementary are working on a community service project. They will be sponsoring a craft fair at the Children's Hospital and will teach the patients how to make rock crafts from the rocks they have collected. The four classes have been able to raise a total of $1,732 from fundraising events. The classes will divide the money equally between the four classes to purchase supplies. All right. A. Select an estimation method to approximate or kind of guess how much each class will receive to purchase supplies when the funds are divided equally between the four classes. We've already looked at this problem, this is part A, and we're just going to do it real quickly again. Remember, if we're dividing among four groups, I'm going to look at what I know. I know that between the four groups, we have to divide $1,732. Well, I got to think about four, and what can I work with that's easy when I'm dealing with four? You could always look at my multiples of 4. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 3 is 12. And 4 times 4 is 16. And 4 times 5 is 20. So the first thing I'm seeing here is 1,732. I'm going to round down to 1,600 divided by 4 as a lower limit. But then I'm also going to round up. I know that we just did our multiples of 4. I know if I add another 4 on, or 4 times 5, that gives me 20. So I'm going to put 2, 0, and I'm going to add the zeros on, divided by 4. So here I have a lower limit and an upper limit to what I think my answer could be. Well, I'm just going to kind of draw a little arrow here. 4 will go into 16 4 times, or 4 times 4 equals 16. So I'm going to write a 4, and then I'm going to add my zeros. So I think the lower limit to my potential answer could be 400. Well, I'll do the same thing with the 2,000. I know that 4 will go into 20 5 times, or I could say 5 times 4 equals 20. So I'm going to write a 5, and then I'm going to add my zeros. So I'm looking at something in between 400 and 500 is to where my answer is going to lie. I'm just going to write estimate. Between 400 and 500. 1,700 is probably closer to 16. It's definitely closer to 1,600 than it is to 2,000. So my guess is it's going to be closer. My answer is going to be closer to 400 than 500. But let's see. Let's determine how much. We've just estimated, and now let's set up the problem. I'm going to do it over here to the left because I have room. Oops. Set it up as 1,732 divided by 4. Well, we just did the estimate, and I know that 4 will go into 17 at least 4 times. Okay, so I'm going to write a 4 right here. So then I'm going to multiply 4 times 4. That's also like saying 4 hundreds times 4 is 16, or 1,600. 17 minus 16 is 1. I'm going to bring down my 3, and then I'm going to move on. And I'm going to repeat the process, except this time, let's get a different color here. I'm going to see how many times will 4 go into 13. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 3 is 12. And 4 times 4 is 16. 4 doesn't work, but 3 will work. 4 will go into 13 3 times. And then 3 times 4 equals 12. And then we subtract again. We're left with 1. And we bring down our 2 in the ones place and make that 12. One last step, I think, and we're done. We got to see how many times does 4 go into 12. We already know this. We know it goes 3 times evenly. 3 times 4 equals 12. 12 minus 12 is 0. How much will each class receive when the funds are divided equally between the 4 classes? Each class will receive $433. You could check yourself by multiplying 433 times 4. I suspect if you do that, you are going to get the answer which is the dividend, which is 1,732. We're going to show this problem a different way, okay? We know how to show it as an equation. We're just going to look at it like this. $1,732 divided by 4 equals, and I'm just going to say C for class. That represents how much money each class will receive. That would be a good formula for this. I'm going to go ahead and erase that because I think we're going to need some room for our area model. We're going to try. We haven't done a lot with the area model version of division. I am going to show it to you just so you've seen it. You might see it on a test or in the future so you know what it looks like and what it means. This isn't a model that I grew up using, and so I honestly have just recently learned how to do it as well. But what we're going to do is we're going to create a long rectangle here. Okay. And over here we're going to represent 4, and that represents our 4 classes. And we're going to think about how many times we can make something go into 1,732. Well, I'm just going to stick with what I did on my my long division problem over here. We know that 400 will go into 1,732 4 times. Why don't we do 400? Because that's what we did in our problem. So I'm going to use the same color. I'm going to go back to the blue, and I'm going to write 400 up here. All right. And we're going to make this look like 1,732 minus what? Well, 4 times 4 is 16. And then we add our zeros. And then subtract. 2 minus 0 is 2. 3 minus 0 is 3. 7 minus 6 is 1. And 1 minus 1 is 0. We're left with 132. Let's continue. All right, so we have to start with 132 at the top here. And we have to think how many times we have to get to 132. So what times 4 will be equal to or less than 132? Well, again, we've already done this problem. We put a 3 in the tens place, so we know that 30 will go into this. And we know that 3 times 4 is 12, or 30 times 4 is 120. 2 minus 0 is 2, 3 minus 2 is 1, and we're left with 12. Okay, we're almost there. We're almost done. We are now left with 12 from our dividend, and we have to get rid of the 12. Well, what times 4 can go into 12, or what divided by 12 equals 4? Well, if you said 3, you are correct. 3 times 4 equals 12, and we're left with nothing. If you add these guys up, we should come up with the same thing that we got when we did the long division problem, $433. This is representing or showing the division problem using an area model. Okay, last part of this problem. Describe the relationship between the equation and the array or the area model. I'm not going to answer this. I'm just going to leave this to you guys to discuss in class. So we're going to end this video. I want you talking with your partner and sharing for about 30 seconds to a minute about what do you think the relationship that exists between the long division problem and the area model or an array like we've used before, and talk about it in class. Thanks for listening today.